Hello, and welcome to NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida, where we just watched a beautiful Crew 5 launch on the most beautiful Florida afternoon. I'm Megan Cruz with NASA Communications, and you are watching the post-launch news conference for today's mission. So let's jump right into it. We have first Kathy Leaders, Associate Administrator, Space Operations Mission Directorate here at NASA headquarters. Steve Stitch, Manager, Commercial Crew Program, NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston. Joel Montalbano, Manager, International Space Station Program at NASA Johnson. Also Sarah Walker, Director, Dragon Mission Management, SpaceX. Hiroshi Sasaki, Vice President and Director General, JAXA's Human Spaceflight Technology Directorate. And Sergei Krikalev, Executive Director, Human Spaceflight Programs, Roscosmos. Thank you all for being here. Now we're going to start with some opening remarks from each of them who I just introduced, and then we'll take questions from reporters. So Kathy, go ahead.
Oh, wow, what a beautiful launch. You know, it was nice to not be fighting the weather as we were heading into the count. And so actually we were all sitting there and things were looking really smooth, and I don't even think we had the weather up in the Fire Room 4. So that was really enjoyable. But I think it was wonderful to see just how excited Nicole and Josh and Anna and our seasoned veteran Koichi were as they got on orbit. I mean, just once again experiencing being in space, and for us, it's always great to see that launch go through and see the spacecraft operating safely. Finally, you know, these are real human endeavors, and there's a team here that had to recover from the hurricane last week, get the Kennedy Space Center back open, get things cleaned up, get us ready to go, and the fact that we're here today is a testimony to all that work that team did. So I would really like to thank all the folks that worked so hard, and the SpaceX and NASA team that just carefully got us prepared for today. And now I'll turn it over to Steve Stitch.
Yeah, thanks, Kathy. It's a pleasure to be here today. And as Kathy said, I guess I'm super excited with the launch today. The weather couldn't have been better here at the Kennedy Space Center. We didn't have to look at any weather on a monitor. We could just look out the window and see a beautiful blue sky. And really, it was that way along the ground track as well. You know, we talked about the abort winds at the staging location, and those were within limits today. So at our weather briefing at 6 hours prior to launch, we decided to go press into the countdown. What a great decision that was. The team did a phenomenal job working through the issues out of the launch readiness review. SpaceX recovered the drone ship to just read the instruction. That was ready. You saw the booster land perfectly on that. We replaced an actuator on engine 3, and that worked out great. Check that out. And then we got the fire suppression, a small leak fixed, and then we're ready to go fly. The vehicle is doing great on orbit. Dragon is doing well. Nose cone was open. Thrusters are doing great. All the systems are working fine. You could see Nicole and Josh and Anna and Koichi. They were all smiles and happy to be in space. They were so excited today. It's great to see them on orbit. And now we're going to focus the next 29 hours from launch to get them docked. And that docking time is 4:57 p.m. tomorrow afternoon Eastern. And so we'll really turn our attention to that phase of the flight. We're excited about the launch. We're excited Dragon's doing well, but we'll focus on docking and getting them safely docked to the space station. And now I'll turn it over to the Space Station Program Manager, Joel Montalbano.
Hey, thank you, Steve, and thank you guys for being here today, and for those who are dialing in. Just an outstanding launch, as you've already heard, and it is awesome to have 4 new space flyers on their way to the International Space Station. These guys, as Steve said, will dock just before 5 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. A hatch opening will be about 90 minutes later. It's just a little past 90 minutes for a hatch opening. They'll stay docked about 150 days. In 150 days, we'll have them doing human research experiments. We'll have them doing technology development. That's going to help us go past low Earth orbit and do further exploration, as well as they'll do some of our commercialization activities. As far as the handover between Crew 4 and Crew 5, it'll be about 5 days. Once the vehicle gets docked, we'll start working the details with the Commercial Crew Program and SpaceX on the actual weather. But we have a good handful of days of docked ops with the team. And with that, let me congratulate and thank our international partners, the Commercial Crew Program, and the SpaceX team. Just a fantastic day to be in human spaceflight. Over to you, Sarah.
Okay. Thanks, Joel. I have very similar things to say as my colleagues and friends up here today, so maybe I'll keep it short. But yeah, it was an incredible day to launch Dragon and Crew 5 to the space station. We're so excited to see Nicole, Josh, Koichi, and Anna start their mission on board the orbiting laboratory. Someone reminded me as I was walking in here today that this mission actually marks 30 humans that SpaceX has sent to space. My life flashed before me kind of on hyperdrive, right? It feels like yesterday that Bob and Doug were driving up to the pad. That was May 2020, the first humans that SpaceX had the privilege of launching, and here we are, the 30 humans in space. Today, Falcon 9 launched Dragon into a nominal insertion orbit. That was about an hour and a half ago. And then that first stage booster, as Steve said, returned to just read the instructions, our drone ship, which was stationed out in the Atlantic Ocean. It was actually happened to be a first flight booster, so it will be returning to shore soon for many more flights ahead, hopefully in the near future. Meanwhile, on orbit, Dragon has completed its initial on-orbit checkouts, and soon it will start performing a series of burns that will help it catch up with the International Space Station for docking tomorrow. It's about a 29-hour flight. Once safely docked, my team's focus is going to be fully on bringing the Crew 4 crew home safely to their friends and family in about a week's time after that. So we'll continue to watch the weather. The vehicle that is on board supporting the Crew 4 mission is healthy, and we'll watch for those conditions to safely bring the crew home and safe for our recovery teams as well. So thanks to the 45th Space Delta for enabling this launch today. Thank you especially to NASA and JAXA and Roscosmos for collaborating on this. How incredible, actually, that I have 3 nation space agencies here at the table representing this mission. A huge partnership and collaboration. So thank you for your partnership. Sasaki-san, would you like to give some words?
Thank you.
How committed is Russia to this international cooperation, to the space station, and how long will you be a partner with the United States, with Japan, with Canada, with the international partners in this program?
This is two questions in your question. Basically, for how long, it depends on many things, and technical things would be probably primary. But talking about cooperation, I think we start to cooperate, as I said, many years ago, more than 40 years ago, and we will continue our cooperation as long as I can imagine.
Okay, and then right here. Yes, right here.
Hi, I'm Jim Siegel. I'm with NASATech.net. Congratulations to all of you and your teams for a great launch here today. I believe I have a question for Sarah. I believe that Crew 4 had a investigation concerning artificial retinas. And I'm interested in whether that investigation is going to come back with Crew 4, or if it's going to stay on the space station for additional work. Thank you.
Yeah, let me take a run at that. That is true. We did do the retina experiment, and the cool thing about that is the results of that are going to help restore sight. The goal is that you take that information you use, and then you make a step closer to restoring sight for people that have lost it. I believe we returned some of that work on a cargo spacecraft. I thought SpaceX 25 returned some of that, but let me go verify that, and we'll close the loop with you on that.
Okay, thank you.
I saw Marcia's hand here on the first row.
Marcia Dunn, Associated Press for Sergey. How does it feel for you being back here launching cosmonauts again from Kennedy Space Center? You were the first, after all. And also for your staff in Moscow, has the war been a distraction for them? The longer it goes, do you worry about them being distracted or having their work impacted by what's going on around them? Thank you.
Crew, which is flying now in space, which just launched in space tomorrow, they have a pretty tight schedule. They have a lot of assignment, and they will do what they're supposed to do. They were trained for that. So I hope distraction from what is going on the ground would be minimum, because we are trying to focus on scientific task, on engineering task, and crew will do what they're supposed to do. As for me, as I said, I was very pleased to be here again. I remember being here a long time ago when we start previous phase of our cooperation, when we start to do our shuttle missions, and then Mir shuttle program, and then construction of International Space Station. So for me, I'm very glad to see all friends, all colleagues, and as I said, I hope we will cooperate together the way it was started in 1975.
I didn't mean the crew being distracted. I meant flight controllers. Your team in Moscow, are they being distracted by the ongoing war in Ukraine and what's going on?
They also do what they're supposed to do. They do their duty, and actually we have a team not only in Moscow but also in Houston. We have a group of Russians who is in Russian mission control. We have a group of Americans who is in mission control in Moscow, and group of Russians in mission control in Houston. So this group is very focused on do what they're supposed to do.
Thank you. I saw a hand right there. Yeah, second row on this side. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sergei Matov, Russian TASS News Agency. Well, first of all, congratulations everyone on today's launch. That was amazing. And I guess my question is for Steve, but maybe Joel or Katie will add something up. So I was curious about your take about the meaning of today's launch, first integrated crew launch on the U.S. soil. What does it mean for the future of Russia and U.S. Cooperation? And maybe do you have any plans to extend the agreement after 2024? Thank you.
I'll take the first part, and then I'll let Joel talk about the agreement. But, I was very excited today to have another international partner fly on our commercial crew vehicles. It was great to see Anna fly. It's great to see Sergei again here. I got to work with Sergei a long time ago in Shuttle Mir, so it was neat seeing that colleague. And we're excited about continuing to fly international partner astronauts. We take these missions very seriously. Each one is a little different. And, I was sort of thinking and reflecting back, this is now our 6th crewed launch in just a little over 2.5 years, and each is different. But then when we go about the preparation, it's the same for every flight. I think an example of that preparation was today. I don't know if you were following when we were closing the hatch, but we take some closeout pictures of the hatch, the seals around the hatch, and the team at Hawthorne saw one human hair on that hatch seal and spotted it very quickly, said reopen the hatch and let's get that hair off and make sure it was good. So that's what our teams are doing on the NASA side here at Kennedy, at JSC, in partnership with SpaceX. And so it's a great team effort. And we're excited to continue to fly more and more cosmonauts and Japanese astronauts and ESA and our U.S. astronauts on our program.
From a cooperation standpoint, Sergei mentioned it a little earlier, we've been cooperating with the Russian Space Agency since the Apollo Soyuz. And the cool thing is General Stafford was at today's launch. He was in OSB-2 with us. And General Stafford has been, he's leads the U.S. Review Commission that reviews the space station program on a regular basis, and he's been part of this process. So it was good to see that. As far as future work, I think everybody's well aware we signed an agreement with Roscosmos for 1 flight this year, 1 flight next year, and 1 flight in 24. That's for all SpaceX missions. Once Boeing gets up and running, our plan is to continue this cooperation on the Boeing missions. As we extend space station, get partner across the board agreement to extend past 24, we would also extend the agreement as our goal.
Thank you, Stitch and Joel. We're going to pause in the room real quick and take a caller on the phone. We have Chris Davenport with the Washington Post.
Hi, thank you, and congratulations on another beautiful launch. For Mr. Krikalev, follow-up from my question the other evening. In your recent comments, including today and in the comments by Mr. Borisov the other day, it seems like you're both making a real effort to smooth over relations with NASA and to demonstrate that you're very committed to the partnership. And I can't help but notice how this stands in stark contrast to the way Mr. Rogozin spoke of the partnership when he was head of Roscosmos. And I wonder if it's part of a concerted effort to ease the tensions that arose under him and to turn down the temperature a bit. Thanks very much.
Answer is yes.
Okay, so we have another caller on the phone. That's Joey Roulette from Reuters.
Hey, thank you. I had a question for Mr. Krikalev. Beyond this crew exchange agreement Russia has with NASA, do you guys at Roscosmos have any other agreements with other countries to fly non-Russian astronauts on Soyuz? And if not, are you guys in talks with those countries to lock in such an agreement? Thanks.
So it's to me?
Yes.
Okay. So we have kind of preset agreement, and nothing new is happening. We just recently we flew UAE astronaut on Soyuz spacecraft, and we have tourists flying on the station, and we have special procedure every time we fly non-partner crew member on board Soyuz or American vehicle. We need to have full agreement from our international partners. So we did it for, as I said, for UAE cosmonaut, and in the future we are planning to get new country, new programs, new agencies involved in space flights, and we just follow procedure that was set a while ago, and we just agree with each other for every next step.
Okay, back here in the room, Ken, I remember you raised your hand. First row right here in the blue.
Hi, thank you, Ken Kramer, for Space Up Close, and congratulations to all of you again on a beautiful launch, especially after the hurricane. So, Sergey, let me ask you a question. It's an honor to have you here. You're a hero to all the people that love space. Thanks for being here. I want to ask you about your perspective on the ISS, since you were the first one on the first mission. It's grown tremendously. Tell us about your expectations for the ISS. Has it met them? Has it exceeded them? What do you hope the ISS will lead to in the future?
Yeah, that's complicated question, and probably it's a big story behind of what was planned initially, what we are going to do in the future. And I can just remind you that when we just started this program, every module was built in order to fly for 15 years. We actually exceed this 15 years time mark long time ago, and station was extended a couple times. Right now we have agreement to fly together up to 2024. We already talk with our international partners, and we talk with our specialists in Russia, looking through technical capability of station to fly, and we understand that it makes sense to keep flying, because this excellent infrastructure that built in space can be used for humanity even more than we were initially planned. I think from very beginning we understood that station is very valuable to do science in space, on low Earth orbit, but also we understand that station is test bed for future flights, for flying more exciting mission to fly beyond low Earth orbit, and we can test a lot of equipment, a lot of procedures, a lot of methods of flying, working on International Space Station. So that's what we are keeping now. We are going to keep it in future, and we will see how long station will be able to fly. And I think main limitation would be technical reason.
Thank you. And there is a question back here on this side of the room. Last row. Thank you.
Hi, Aaron Cooper with CNN. I understand that Soyuz has been able to do some fast track docking attempts. Why hasn't that been tried with the Dragon missions? And is there thought in the future of doing kind of expedited or faster trips up to ISS?
Yeah, I mean, the missions are not very long, on the order of a day, plus or minus a few hours here and there. And it really just depends on the orbital mechanics of when what day we launch and where the space station is, and how many burns to catch up. But I think, Joel, maybe you could speak to this, but I think a day or less is a nice short mission to get up to space station. And
then when you constrain your launch to like hours, you do have to constrain the launch date. And so having the 1 day helps us maximize the opportunities. Well, Steve.
we could have launched right anytime this week. We had a launch opportunity tomorrow, which was a little longer run to do 10 more hours, about a 38 and a half hours to dock. So what we have chosen to do is sort of optimize any time launch, I would say, and have as many opportunities as possible. Some of those are as short as about 16 hours to dock. Some of those are a little longer, like the one we're taking today. And so what we've chosen to do is sort of optimize any day launch just to handle the weather situation here at the Kennedy Space Center, our launch environment, which is lots of launches on the range, and then also abort weather, which we have some criteria up the coast. And so we've chosen to do that versus sort of optimize the Dragon to launch, in a couple orbits, which it could feasibly do that if we chose to do so.
And I believe I saw one last hand in the room. Yep, can we just have him in the front row?
Yeah, hi, John McGill with Wyandotte Cable. This question's for Sarah. We've been getting used to previously flown boosters. So how does a new booster differ in your preparation?
Yeah, there's not difference in the checks that we do in preparing for the launch and certifying the booster. We have a production facility in Hawthorne in California, and we have a number of lanes of refurbishment capability here at the Cape. So there's different activities that we do, whether we're performing maintenance or we're building a new one, but this was more so just happenstance that due to the timing of this launch, this one was a new booster to come off the line, and we try to make sure that we have boosters ready to support our customers' needs.
From a NASA perspective, we like getting the new boosters. I mean, every time SpaceX puts a new booster in the fleet, they continue to make, I would say, safety improvements to the boosters, better inspections of this booster in some areas than we've had in the past in terms of looking at the hardware. There's some robustness in the aft part of the vehicle around the engines to keep the plume from those engines from coming inside. There's many things. Each booster that we get, I think we might get a new booster again later on in Crew 6. So every one of those, we see improvements to it. So we like the reflown boosters, but again, getting a new booster for us, get some upgrades and some safety improvements, which we appreciate on the NASA perspective. So.
Okay.
I would just highlight that the NASA certification process that tells us we are go for flight is the same across the board, right? So safety and reliability is the top priority with every single booster, and it's all held to the same standard when we say we're go for launch.
All right, when we have one other person on the phone, we have Joey Roulette again with Reuters.
Hey, thanks. I just had one follow-up for Sergey. How important is it for Russia to remain as an international space station partner? Would Russia be able to sustain its human spaceflight program if it were to pull out of the partnership in 2024? Or what would that look like? Thanks.
We are thinking about building new space station. We start preliminary design of it. There is no final decision yet, but we are going to keep flying International Space Station as long as our new infrastructure will build. We don't know yet how it's going to be built and what kind of modules we will have, but I'm sure that we will stay in international partnership when we fly ISS, and future station, future infrastructure is also going to be with international partnership.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. We got to all the questions, so I now invite Kathy for any final remarks.
So like I think Sergey mentioned, and Sergey, I think you got the brunt of the questions today, so thank you very much. Right now, we're just through one phase. So obviously great launch. We're very happy that the launch went so well, but now the team's really focused on getting the crew safely to the ISS. We once again are very grateful that our international partners are trusting us to be able to fly their crews. And we're also very grateful that SpaceX continues to be such a great partner for us and continue to fly our crews. And so looking forward to Nicole and Josh and Anna and Koichi safely reaching the International Space Station tomorrow. And I know Joel's got a whole list of things for them to do when they get on orbit. So keep watching, keep following along. Hopefully it'll be very calm and boring mission, and we'll get there. But also really, really, like I said at the beginning, want to thank all the teams. You all know what a tremendous endeavor this is, and it takes people all over the country, all over the world to get us to this point. And so I really, really want to thank the teams that have gotten us to this point. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for your interest in Crew 5.
Well, you heard Kathy. Keep watching, keep following along. So with that, coverage will continue on NASA TV through docking at the space station, which is expected tomorrow, Thursday, October 6th at 4:57 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll also stay on to cover the welcome ceremony, which, as Joel said, is about 90 minutes after that. So until then, just follow us along for any updates on our social media channels, and we're going to say goodbye with a beautiful replay of today's launch.